In His grace, God gave us a sequential end-time timeline that was hidden in the Psalms for thousands of years, waiting to be discovered. It has now been revealed here at the last minutes of the church age. This channel discusses end-time prophecy from the unique perspective of the encrypted timeline in the Psalms. If you want to know where we are on the timeline, please subscribe and take some time to watch the other videos on this channel. Also, please consider purchasing a copy of Encrypted, Unlocking the Timeline Revelation in the Psalms. Not only will it help you to better understand the time we're living in, but it will also be a very important book to leave behind. God bless you.
Verse 8 of chapter 6 was, there are 60 queens and 80 concubines and virgins without number. Okay? The total of 60 queens and 80 concubines is 140. The number 140 does appear in the Bible in the book of Job. Job lived another 140 years after his great tribulation period, according to the 42nd chapter of Job. You notice I threw in the great tribulation period because that's what he was going through. And that's what Israel's going to go through. For 42 months. Imagine that. There might be a connection there. In that same chapter, we discover that Job's fortune and family was restored back to him twofold. Okay? In Job 1, he had 7 sons and 3 daughters. And he owned 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 donkeys, and had a large number of servants. I want to stop right here and just add this. Donkeys, camels, goats, sheep, they die, new ones are born. So think about it. There's got to be a reason why these numbers are in here, because on any given day, these numbers would change, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know that. You guys have horses, so things happen. New ones come along, old ones die off. So for these exact numbers to be in here, there's got to be a reason for it, and we're going to get to that. In Job 42, so that was the first chapter. Now in Job 42, the last chapter, he had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 donkeys, exactly double. And he also had 7 sons and 3 daughters, the same number as before, only replaced. So the old ones died. Now he has 7 new sons and 3 new daughters. Okay? So let's do some simple math. He started with 7 sons and 3 daughters in chapter 1. Those children died, but he had 7 more sons and 3 more daughters in his 140 extra years. If you add all of those children together, you get a total of 20. Because there were 10 in the beginning, and now 10 more. So he had a total of 20 children. Now, let's count the animals. Job started with 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 oxen, and 500 donkeys. At the end of his life, he had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 oxen, and 1,000 donkeys. Let's get rid of the zeros and add those together. The total of his animals was 33. Remember, I just dumped all the zeros. If you don't mix animals and people together, because you shouldn't, let's take the 20 children and place that number before the 33 animals and see what we get. We get 2033. Israel's 84th year, which is 2 times 42, and that will be 2032/2033. That's the start of the 1,000-year time of abundance under the rule of Jesus. Do you see how that connects? Job's time of abundance and our time of abundance in the millennial kingdom. I believe the book of Job is a treasure chest full of wisdom for those who will be seeking the Lord in the days of the tribulation, especially the final 42-month great tribulation. Job is a type and shadow of that time, and there are important details sprinkled throughout his story that will be of great value one day very soon. Here's one more from the book of Job, since I don't think I will have time to finish a complete study before we're gone. Do you remember that Job had 3 friends who seemed to make his life worse during his 42 chapters? Actually, little known fact, he had 3.5 friends. There isn't much teaching about this last friend. He remains quiet until chapter 32. His name was Elihu. And he points out that he did not want to speak because he was so much younger than Job and his other 3 friends. Job 32:6. So Elihu, the son of Barachel, and the Buzite, answered and said, I am young in years, and you are very old. Therefore I was afraid, and dared not declare my opinion to you. Even though Elihu said he didn't want to speak, he actually had a lot to say. When he started, he didn't stop. He went on for 7 chapters, and didn't shut up until the Lord spoke. Out of the storm is where the Lord spoke in chapter 38. Interestingly, the Lord never spoke to or rebuked Elihu as he did the other 3 friends in chapter 42. Elihu in Hebrew means he is my God. Do you see how the Lord encrypted all of this together? The great tribulation that Job suffered over 42 chapters, 3.5 friends, which ended with him having an abundance that totals 20 children and 33,000 animals over his lifetime, is a type and shadow of what Israel will suffer during their 42 months / 3.5 years great tribulation, which will end in 2033. I believe the millennial kingdom starts in 2033, but because of God's calendar versus ours, you can say 2032, 2033, it really doesn't matter. You just can't make that stuff up.
Nope.
And I'm not smart enough to figure that out. If God didn't show me these things, it wouldn't happen. I wouldn't know about it. I'd just be working on a carburetor, fix carburetor. Remember, we were talking about the 60 queens and 80 concubines. That's how all of this started, because that results in 140, and that's kind of how the Lord opened that up. And I thought, wait a minute, where do I know that number from? And then I started digging, and it's like, no way. Anyway, this is actually the end. Thank you. God bless you. And it's hot in here. I'm ready to go home. Good night.